Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to start with lines and angles, which is a very easy chapter. But before starting this chapter, you need to know something which is very important. Now, in 9th standard, I have observed that if you don't do the first chapter, you will not understand the rest. Okay, suppose you do chapter 1 of physics, just for example, physics. So, if you don't do this chapter like very well, you will not understand the second chapter of physics. And if you don't understand this chapter, second one, you will not understand the third chapter. Okay, so this is how it goes, and you need to remember this because in 9th standard everything is like in a order. You need to do it from the first chapter to the last chapter completely. Okay, so now in lines and angles, there is so many basics that you need to do. Not so many, very little, but if you do this chapter really well, you can understand triangles, quadrilaterals, and circles as well. Because actually in every geometry chapter, whether it is triangles, quadrilaterals, or circles, you will need the basics of this chapter. Okay, without this, you cannot solve these chapters at all because they're going to introduce new concepts in each chapter. But you need to remember these basic concepts. So today we're going to do this chapter, which is really important, but it is easy as well. So you don't have to fear. So let's begin. Now, so the basics, let's start with the basics. Suppose we have a line like this, which has two pointed arrows at both the ends. Now, these arrows indicate that the whole line, this line is extending infinitely. Okay. Now, suppose you have two dots here, and they're joined by a small line, thin one. Let's name these points. This is A and this is B. Now, a particular distance, suppose this line segment has a particular distance of 5 centimeter. Okay, this means that this has a particular distance, not unlike this one, which is extending infinitely. You cannot count it in centimeters, meters, or kilometers. Infinitely. Okay, but here, in this one, you know that how much is the distance, right? It is 5 centimeter. Thus, we call this as a line segment. Actually, line segments are very important in circles. Okay, because there are a lot of questions which come based on line segments, or this word line segment is used a lot in circles chapter. Now, let's talk about collinear points. Okay, suppose you have 3 points. One is here, and the other is here. Okay, let's name them. Suppose A, B, and C. Now, as you can see, if I pass a line through these dots, they align perfectly. All 3 of them are on that line, right? These are called collinear points. Okay. Now, there's one thing which is very special about this one, that only 3 points, if they are in a same line, or a line when passes through these 3 points, and they're on the same line, they are called collinear. Suppose you have 2 dots here. Let's name it PQ, sorry. If I put a line through them, this won't be called as a collinear because there's only 3 points. Collinear word is used only for 3 points. If they are on the same line, only then. Now let's talk about non-collinear points. Okay, suppose we have 3 points here. Right. Now, if I put a line through them, this will be like this. and this will be like this, right? Now, one thing is very special that's happening over here. This is A, this is B, and this is C, right? Now, what I told you in the collinear points definition, that is all three of them should be on the same line. But here, I can see that only this line is passing through 2 points only. Okay, or let it be this one, this line over here. This is also passing through only 1 point, sorry, 2 points. And this one, this line is passing through 2 points only. So this is called non-collinear points. When only 2 or less than 2, actually less than 2 points are there, this is called non-collinear. Okay, now let's talk about angles, right? Now suppose if I draw a figure like this. Now suppose this is B, this is A, this is C. This point, sorry, this point, this one, this angle that is formed here, this is called an angle. And B point, this B point is vertex, okay? Now, from the vertex, there are two lines emerging. Suppose, let's do one thing, I'll give them arrows. So you will know that they're extending infinitely, okay? Now, when two lines extend from vertex, or they are getting away from the vertex, right? They are called arms, okay? Now, let's talk about angles, types of angles. Types of angles. Let's talk about the first one, zero angle. Now you will be confused. What is a zero angle? So, zero angle is an angle which cannot be measured. Okay, this one cannot be measured. So let's do it 0 degree. Now if I draw a diagram over here, this is we have a straight line. This point over here is B, this is A. Now you might be confused between a straight line and a 0 degree angle. Okay, now you need to understand, if you want a 360 degree angle, right, then it has to rotate from this side and come back here, right? So this will be called C. But in zero angle, this is not the case. In zero angle, this angle is like this. It moves this side. It doesn't take a full rotation. Okay, that's why it is called a zero angle. So here I will draw it. This red line is a zero angle. Zero angle. Okay. Now let's talk about right angle. Right angle. Now right angle, RA. I will write this in short form. Right angle RA is an angle which is perpendicular. Actually, this is a sign for perpendicular if you don't know. Perpendicular. And if you don't know what is the meaning of perpendicular, basically it means 90 degree. Okay. Right angle is an angle which is perpendicular. So let's draw it over here. If I have a line which extends like this. The vertex is B. Here is A, and it is extending infinitely. And I will draw a line straight to the north side. Okay, so it will be like this, straight. This one will be called C. Now if you measure it, you will see that this angle measures exactly 90 degree, right? So this is called a right angle, or you can call it a perpendicular angle as well. Now let's move to the third one, that is straight angle. Straight angle. Straight angle, straight angle is an angle which measures 180 degree. Okay, 180 degree. Now suppose I have a straight line over here. No, let's draw a right angle triangle. Sorry, right angle. That will be like this. Okay, let's name it A, B, C. Okay, now you all know that this angle is 90 degree. Okay, we just learned it. Now, what if I simply make this line, this perpendicular line, BC, just be straight. Okay, not 90 degree, but more than 90 degree. Now, if you see an angle which is more than 90 degree, it is called an obtuse angle, which you have already learned in your previous classes. Sorry, previous grades actually. Now, if I take this one and put it simply like this here, this will form a straight line like this. Okay, this is C, this is B, and this is A, which are extended infinitely. Now this angle, you see this angle is 180 degree. Okay, now let's see fourth angle, that is full or complete angle. Now just now I just explained you what is a 360 degree angle, which takes a full rotation, right? This is the same thing, full or complete angle. I also like to call this a 360 degree angle. Now an angle which is 360 degree and takes a complete rotation. Suppose I have this angle. Let's draw a right angle angle here again. Okay, so this is C, this is B, this is A. Okay, 90 degree. Now if I take the BC line and completely rotate it and bring it here, making a 0 degree angle. But here there's a difference. It is not a 0 degree angle. Okay, a 0 degree angle never moves. Okay, it's just like sitting there. It doesn't take a rotation or anything else. It's just there. But here, this BC line takes a complete rotation and comes back to BA line. Okay, that is why it is called a 360 degree angle. Right. Let's move to our fifth angle, that is acute angle. Acute angle, so very easy, you all know it. Acute angle is an angle which measures less than 90 degrees. Okay. Sixth, obtuse angle. Obtuse angle is an angle which measures more than 90 degree. Okay, so now this angle can be like, let's say 275 degree as well. Okay, it's not that it should be between 180 and 90. It can be 275, it can be 290. Okay, let's see how to show reflex angle. Okay, now this is the seventh one. Reflex angle. Now, reflex angle is shown like this. You can call it an obtuse angle with a different name. Same thing. Okay, now suppose this is, let's say, 190 degree. So it is called an reflex angle as well as an obtuse angle. Okay, so they're basically the same thing. Now let's talk about supplementary angles. Supplementary angles, supplementary angles are the angles which measure 180 degree. Okay, now let's draw a line over here and this one here. It is intersecting, kind of, yeah. Now let's take this point as B, this is C, and this is A. Now when you see two angles being formed here, you can see that two angles, I will color them. These are two separate angles. Okay, these two separate angles, we need to know the value. Suppose they have given you a question. Suppose this 90 degree, okay, and this is x. So you need to take 90 plus x is equal to 180. So x stays there in LHS. 90 is shifted to RHS. So 180 minus 90 is 90 degree. So angle x is also 90 degree. So basically these questions are asked a lot, and they are mostly asked in every single geometry chapter. So this one is a very important concept. Okay, now here the definition is, when two angles are forming, when combined together are forming 180, they are called supplementary angles. Okay, so this is as simple and there's no concept behind it. It's just two angles forming 180 degree. Now let's talk about complementary angles. Complementary angles. Now complementary angles are the angles forming 90 degree only. Okay, let's take a right angle here and another line which bisects it. Okay, so there are two angles formed now. So this will be called as x and this is as y. When we combine these two, when we combine x plus y, this should give us 90 degree. Okay, now for example, here they have given x as let's say 80 and they have told us to find y. So we will do this one. 180 plus y is equal to 90 degree. So y is equal to 90 minus 80. That's going to give us 10 degree. Okay, so angle y is 10 degree. Now let's talk about adjacent angles. Okay, this is 10th one. Adjacent angles. Now the definition is simple. Two angles are adjacent if they have a common vertex, a common arm, and the non-common arm are on different sides of the common arm. Okay, suppose I have this line over here, right? Now this angle, you can see this angle is adjacent. Let's name it x and this one is y. These two angles are adjacent to each other because they have something in common. They have one point which is common, that is B. Let this be A and let this be C. Both of these arms, AB and BC, are going on different directions. But they have one common point from where they are extending to infinite lengths. Okay, that is why they are called adjacent angles. Now let's talk about linear pairs. Okay, linear pairs. Linear pair is nothing but just summing. Summing means adding. Adding two angles. Suppose x plus y, which is equal to 180 degree. That's all. Okay, you have to use this one. This is important actually. Linear pair will be used. This term will be used in almost every single chapter in geometry. Let it be circles, triangles, quadrilaterals. Okay, and even while giving proofs, you have to write that this is linear pair. Okay. Now let's talk about vertically opposite angles. Vertically opposite angles. Okay, let's draw this x over here. Let's name it, this is D, this is A, C and B, and one common point where they intersect, that is O. Okay, now if you take these two angles, I will take them with a different color. These triangles, as you can see, these are vertically opposite angles and they are always equal. Okay, now vertically opposite angles, this part is used a lot in triangles. Okay, so you will definitely need to use this one. So this with green, as you can see. Let's name this x, this is as x as well, and this one as y, this is as well as y. Okay, now if you observe it very closely, suppose I just take one part, just one part. Here, you can see this red line. I will do something else, and this line. Now if I take it over here, you will see that it is forming like this, perpendicular, or what I just explained you here, supplementary angles. You can see this supplementary angle, right? Now this is not always, this line is not always, this is not always perpendicular. It can be anything, like it can be leaned over here as well. Okay, so it's called a supplementary, and these two are vertically opposite. So suppose this angle is x, this is y. They are not equal, they can never be equal. Okay, it's not like permanent that they can never be equal. It's not a rule, they can be, but if they are equal, then it is always 90 degree. Both of them will form at least 45 degree angles, which will form a 90 degree angle. Now let's talk about intersecting lines. Okay, intersecting, sorry, got a spelling wrong. Intersecting lines. Intersecting lines. Now you can understand intersecting lines by looking at this diagram. Okay, this is the exact diagram shown in intersecting lines. Okay, here they cross each other, there's a common point, they're intersecting, that is called intersecting lines. And with this we have finished our chapter lines and angles. I hope this chapter was really easy for you and you understood what I just said. And if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel to get more content from my side. Bye bye. Thank you.